Hi, good evening. My name is Jay Rothman. I am the host of the show. Welcome to Real Men, Real Talk, Live. Welcome back to Real Men Real Talk Live. I'm excited to introduce my co-host and special guest this evening. We have Kate Malvenan joining us from Cancun, Mexico. Welcome, Kate.
Thank you very much, everybody. Nice to be here.
We have Josh Richard joining us from Sony Studios set of, a show he works on called Shark Tank. Welcome back, Josh Richard.
Great to be here. Excited for tonight. So excited Kate's here.
And we have Evis Love, the man of the land from down under. Welcome back, Ev.
As always, brothers and sister, pleasure to have you tonight. Looking forward to diving in deep.
And of course, we have Mr. Jeff Pisano. Welcome back, coming in from Nashville, Tennessee. Welcome back home.
Thanks,
welcome
Jay.
home.
I'm looking forward to listening and learning.
So here we go. As we jump into tonight's episode, first and foremost, I want to welcome our viewers and listeners joining us from around the world. If you showed up tonight, you're right on time. Episode 167. The episode is all about are you living a life being a warrior, or have you stepped into the true essence of your superpowers to light up your own life and tap into yourself and learn how you are becoming a warrior? And with that, I want to again introduce Kate joining us from Cancun, Mexico. And Kate, I'd like to invite you to kick us off this evening, light us up, and share with us briefly what got you to Cancun back in 2018, as well as a return visit back in 2023.
Yeah, well, there's always a story there, right? So, I've got to take you way back. So, let's go back. Let's say 7 years. I'm on the Gold Coast, married to whom I thought was the love of my life, and life's wonderful. And we had a great relationship, and we decided we're having a baby. And we're both really happy for that, and fall pregnant, and I'm doing pregnancy Pilates, and life's great. We've got a house and 2 jobs and a dog and 2 beautiful stepdaughters, and have said baby. And when baby's only a few weeks old, I discovered that my husband was heavily addicted to A-class drugs, was methamphetamine. And we'll speed through this. So I've got this, beautiful baby and an addict husband, and I tried everything to help him, to be there for him, to be this loving wife, because I adored this man. I adored him more than anything in this world. And it was in rehab and out of rehab, and then he lost his job and he stole all our money, and we had to sell the house. And our life became what you would see on the news or on a current affair show, or it was something that happened to other people. It didn't happen to us. I felt like I was in the middle of a production, and I was the main character, and I was looking in. So life started really going terribly, terribly bad. He went to live on the streets, and I've never seen him again. So when our daughter was 1, I found her on the floor with an ice pipe in her hand, a drug tool. And that was the moment I knew I had to go. I had to leave. So this man who I loved, adored, and cherished, I had to go. So I became a solo parent with a baby who was 1. And I set myself up, or us up, and moved into an apartment and said, right, Kate, you need to start getting life better. So I started going to the gym and working out and doing all the good things and eating well and being focused and mindful. And then suddenly I started getting a few aches and pains in my body, and I didn't know was going on, because I'm very well, and I was 39, non-smoking, going to the gym 6 times a week, and I'd have a pain in my shoulder, and then it would move to my back, and then it would move to my hip, and went to the doctor a few times, coughed a bit of blood. The doctor said, oh, you must have bronchitis, take some antibiotics. So I did that, and 2 weeks later went back and I was still coughing blood, and they said, take some more antibiotics. So this went for about 10 months. Eventually I went back to the doctors and said, I've got a pain in my chest. They said, well, let's give you an x-ray. We'll speed this up. The result came back that you are terminally ill with lung cancer. The cancer has metastasized into your liver, your lymph nodes, your hips, your spine, your ribs, your shoulders, your pelvis. And we think at this stage you only have 6 months to live. So my daughter was 2. I'm a solo parent. Her father, who we hadn't seen, still haven't seen, was a junkie living on the streets. Life just span on its head for me right there and then. The doctors said, you're too far gone for chemotherapy, and you're too far gone for any of us to operate on you. The quality of life just wouldn't be there for you. So we'll put you on targeted therapy medication, and we hope it will give you an extra 6 months to live. So the doctors were excited by this. They said, it might even give you an extra 12 months. So I wasn't going to see my daughter turn 4. We knew that. And that was clarified by the head radiologist, the head oncologist, the lung surgeon, the lung specialist, the GP, do you call that an MD? I was given a 0% chance of living. So at this point, for 2 dark days, I thought I was going to die. For 2 dark days, I thought, who's going to take on my daughter when I'm gone? It can't be her father. It can't be my parents who lived in England. I started thinking, who is going to adopt my child? So 2 days after leaving the hospital, I bumped into a friend who used to be a naturopath, and he said, actually, Kate, there's another way. There is a clinic in Mexico, and it's called Hope for Cancer. I went and saw an integrative oncologist. She actually didn't have an appointment for 4 months. She said, I don't have an appointment for 4 months. I said, I might be dead by then. She said, actually, I could squeeze you in this afternoon. So I went to see her, and she said, there's a clinic in Mexico, and it's called Hope for Cancer. So within 3 weeks of diagnosis, I'd left Australia. I'd left my little girl with my parents who'd flown from England in Australia. I grabbed a friend. I said, you need to come with me. And I landed in Cancun, Mexico.
Wow. You're muted, Jay.
Yeah, I said just take a nice deep breath. Take it in. And while you're taking a moment just to breathe, Kate's story that she's sharing is it's a devastating story. However, what she chose to do took a lot of courage. And the courage I'm talking about was the courage not to accept the prognosis from her doctors over in Australia. And the fact that you got busy, and you got busy fast, your why was strong enough.
Yeah.
Will you take a moment to share with us, how did you tap into your why? What was that about for you?
It was always my daughter, and it will always be my daughter. So without me, she would be an orphan. So I looked at the cost of coming to Mexico, which is not minimal. It's tens of thousands of dollars. Remember, I'm a solo parent. I've sold our home. I've lost my husband, my best friend. We've lost our family unit. He's taken half the money. That's gone on methamphetamine. I didn't have lots of money. So originally I said, I can't afford the cost of the medical expenses of going to Mexico. And then I remember my little girl running into the front room, and I don't know whether she needed a nappy change, whether she was looking for a dummy or a lolly or a toy. And she said, Mummy. And I just looked at this little girl and I said, I can afford it. I don't care if I've got to sell a kidney. I can afford it. If I have to remortgage my home or sell my business or whatever it is, I'm going to find that money. And that's exactly what I did. So I said to my parents, I said, you take care of Annabelle. I'm going to take care of me.
There you go. There you go. And what's beautiful about this is as though your story is around cancer. So many of us are diagnosed with a disease that can take us out potentially or change the trajectory of our life. And so many of us choose to accept what the doctor may convey to you or what your life is going to look like. And whether you have cancer or you have an autoimmune disease or you have heart disease or lung disease, whatever that disease is within your body, we all have Kate's story because we all have a choice. Either we give up or we get busy. And when I'm talking about it, it's about mindset. It's about how badly do you want to live? What do you make of that, Evis?
First of all, sister, absolutely honor your story. Thank you for sharing on the platform tonight. I know it takes a lot of courage and, to share that vulnerability, let alone to the, those people that are closer to you, let alone to the world. So thank you. What Jay's saying there, 100%, we can already, I can feel the strength that's just coming from you across the other side of the pond. And, many of us, we've got to take these things, these challenges and obstacles with our lives and really learn from people like yourself, especially as a feminine energy, being that single parent and, having that little one as your why, as your purpose, that really allows you to give that strength and courage to be able to action these particular steps within your life. But, you think some of these things that get thrown at us, and, this is for our brothers and sisters out there as well. Like Jay said, your story is Kate's story and vice versa. We share these ups and downs, and this is the human story, brothers and sisters. We can't control, and we've said this on many shows. It's not about what we can, what we can't control. It's how we respond to it. Now, Kate could easily go into that victim mode, that victim state, and, fall into those particular victim or those pity party, so to speak, as well. But as you can hear from the sister with her passion and her heart, we can feel her personal power coming to the surface that allows her to be able to have this strength and courage to go and really, I wouldn't even say fight this particular thing, because it's really embracing her as a whole story. And that for me is going to be the key on being able to get past this particular challenge in her life, as she has with many, as we've already heard. So I really honor your story, my sister. I'm, really interested in what the brothers have got to say at the moment as well.
Thanks, Ev.
Go for it, Josh.
I'm just taking it in, Kate, and feeling for you and taking in all levels of what you just shared, and honoring your like the rest of the boys, honoring your strength and your courage and your tenacity and your the fight in you. I can see it. I can smell it. I can.
I've got a bit of that. I've got a bit of that.
Yeah. And yeah, it's tough. And I think, something I wanted to bring up tonight was that, we all, somebody really close to me has a fast growing cancer right now. And, she's going through traditional treatments, which are, of course, ravaging her body. And so it's hard. I've been in the spiritual circles and the spiritual world, and it's tough out there because there are so many woo-woo things, and so many modalities or things or people or that are just willing to take advantage of people on a in a state where they want to believe. And I guess my question to you, Kate, was, I mean, I'm sure you did your homework, but what would your advice be to someone who's navigating the world of possibilities, good, bad, indifferent, genuine, not so genuine, and I'm sure there's people out there right now watching this that are asking the same questions. It's hard. We want to believe a person in a white coat, and we've been taught to believe the people in the white coats. My dad treated ovarian cancer and uterine cancer his entire life. He was a surgeon, and I grew up around that. Doctors heal. That is what we were taught, and he's dedicated his entire life. But yes, as it gets loud here for a second, I'm going to throw it back to you and ask.
Sure. Look, I don't know what to say there really, because I think one has to follow a lot of their intuition. I was given no choices. I think I would have followed the standard path had I been given a choice. If I was said, hey, this is, I knew nothing of cancer. I was one of the lucky ones. I didn't know anyone who'd ever had cancer. And most people do now, a grandparent, a parent, a neighbor, something. So if the hospital said, hey, we're going to give you chemo, we're going to give you, I was ready for it. I went, okay, I'll shave my hair. And I'd sort of done the standard, right, well, I've got long hair, and my daughter will then see me with a bald head. So I'll go, long hair to a bob, to a pixie cut, I was ready. Whatever path I was on, I was going to take it by the bloody horn. So whatever it was. But when it was said, we can't do that, and we can't do this, and you're eligible for that, in a way, I was very, very fortunate to be given such a horrific prognosis, because then I had to look further afield. Now, I didn't take the time to do the research. There's brilliant things happening in Bangkok. There's brilliant things happening in Germany. There's brilliant things happening in Mexico. It was because two medical professionals said this one specific clinic. Now, I didn't go and research 10 other clinics. I just went straight to this one. So I was fortunate in that sense. But a lot of what I've done, I mean, I've had to doctor myself quite a lot over the years when doctors wouldn't give me the IVs, and they wouldn't give me the portacath, which I needed to get the IVs in. I had to get my own portacath. I had to teach myself from YouTube how to run IVs, because it wasn't going to happen. When people said it can't be done, I'd say it is going to be done. It's going to be my way. There's a result I need to get. And if you're not going to assist me, then, off you go, off my path. So I'm getting off track here, but to anyone else listening, it's follow your intuition. Don't take no for an answer, and look for something better, whether that's a better doctor, whether that's a better oncologist, whether that's a better direction for you. But don't take no for an answer, and always keep searching, keep looking.
Yeah, I think what I'm hearing Kate say is it really is learning how to tap into a part of ourselves that many of us have not had a sharpened pencil on, which is learning how to really tap into our intuition. In the old days, we called it trust your gut. And, they say if it smells fishy, if it stinks, it probably is a rotten fish, And I say that in the most sincere way, is that pay attention to what's being said, and then pay attention to what's not being said, and then tap into your own gut and let that be your guide. Because if you don't learn how to connect within your own self, and you're totally reliant on somebody else to give you their direction, it's just their opinion. That's why they say go for 2 or 3 opinions when you get a condition, a medical diagnosis and a prognosis. Don't just surrender to the first doctor that gets in to see you. And if you have to travel a little farther, to go, go a little further. That's what I did in my own healing journey. I drove sometimes 2.5 hours in traffic to get the best medical team that I could assemble to start my own process. And eventually I said no thank you to that as well, because when I tapped in and I tapped into my truth, I wasn't willing to accept what they said the rest of my life was going to look like. And so it really comes down to, there is no advocate out there that can advocate for you the way you can. And if it's for the first time in your life where it's time for you to show up, it's time for you to grow up and learn how to take care of that, your own self. Learn how to ask the questions that some doctors may not be comfortable answering. And if they're not comfortable answering, then it's time to say, no mas, no more. I'm out of here. I'll go find a doctor that's going to listen to me, that's going to answer my questions, that's going to have something called compassion. So I'm curious, Jeff Pisano, you've been such a good listener tonight. What are you making of all this? Is any of this relatable to you as far as your own mindset, as far as any type of conditions in your own life that you got to tap in and find your own superpowers within to change the trajectory of your life?
Oh, you don't want to know my conditions. Laugh. Come on. What I'm thinking about is two people in my life who are going through, well, one is going through the same thing, or in a different way that Kate is, and she's going to meet her on Monday in Cancun. But I also have another friend.
Hey, Laurie.
I also have another friend, Lourdes Colon, who was a promising actress in Hollywood, and it all got quote unquote derailed because she was diagnosed with cancer. And she went to the doctors, yada, 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 but she wouldn't accept any of that. And she said, I'm going to do this my way and the natural way. She made a movie about it called Option C. She also wrote a book about it called Option C. And she's dedicated her life to doing this. And I'd love to, when the show ends, Kate, is to turn you on to her. And I think you'd find her incredibly fascinating because she cured herself of cancer. She's been cancer-free for years. She has been a friend of mine for over 10 years, as long as Laurie Morris has. And she's helped me through physical stuff that happened in my life by me saying, what do you do? And I went on her quote unquote regimen for a couple of months, and it cleared up anything that was going on in my life physically, all naturally. And her perseverance, and if you ever get to see her movie, I saw the movie of her. She documented her journey through cancer, and it was pretty horrific at times. But what was really interesting about it, and this is the part that is important for me, is what you saw when she did go to Mexico, and I'm not quite sure where, but how this shifted and brought up so much deep emotions that she had repressed and suppressed within her. There was a moment in the movie where she says, I'm crying and I'm continually crying and I don't know what I'm crying about. And what I noticed right then and there, and then Lourdes and I have spoken much about this, is that what she realized was how deeply she repressed and suppressed her emotions or her feelings within her. And the process that she was going through in Mexico was helping to bring all of those feelings, all of that suppressed and repressed energy to the surface to be released. And that's a big part of physical dis-ease, is that stuffed, repressed, and suppressed emotion. And I watched that in the movie, and I went, wow. And she goes, that was a huge part of it. I didn't realize what I suppressed and repressed in my life that was being brought up through all of what she was going through physically, because she wasn't in any therapy or anything like that. As she was cleansing her body physically, it was bringing up all the suppressed and repressed feelings and emotion that was there. And it was almost it was a physical cleansing and an emotional cleansing all at the same time. And that was very important for me when I watched that movie, because we've spoken about this many, many times on this show, how physical disease, how emotional, our emotional bodies, once we trap, repress, or suppress our emotional body, how that repressed and suppressed low vibrational dense energy can take a toll on us physically. And I saw it firsthand in that movie. And I definitely, Kate, because of your strength, where you are, and I do have a question for you, because this is what's coming up for me. I feel there's a knowingness within you that you will be healed. And I really can sense that within you.
Look,
is that a question, or is that just an observation? I don't hear a question in that.
It's both.
Okay. All right, Kate.
Look, one doesn't want to get cocky. I mean, we've sped forward a little bit here. So there's a couple of things. If I can rewind a little bit, we're all sitting here like nodding dogs when you're talking about the emotional side. Now, what I didn't say was you hold different emotions in different organs of your body. So I'd lost my husband, addict. You hold grief in your lungs. So here I was, 39, non-smoker, healthy as, it was, and I had a tumor the size of an apple in my lung. And the way I saw it, it bounced around like a ping pong ball through my body, pull. And it was just, So your lovely friend's story, we're sitting here going, yep. I get that. So here in Mexico, we talk about the emotional, spiritual healing as much as the physical, if not more. So that's been a journey that I've been on, and we can touch base later on how I've maneuvered that. But again, we haven't spoken again. I don't know if I'm jumping the gun here, but I healed from cancer within 12 months. I was given 6 months to live, and I said, not only am I going to beat cancer, I'm going to do it in 12 months. Now that's a pretty long shot, So the doctor said, no, you're going to be dead and buried. And I went, actually, I don't think I am. So I said to my doctors, I'm going to do it in a year. And he did say to me some time ago, how long did it take you to be NED? What we say, no evidence of disease. And I said 364 days. So sadly, cancer came back. 6 weeks ago, I got re-diagnosed out of absolutely nowhere that I had cancer in my lungs, in my liver, and 10 tumors in my brain. That was 6 weeks ago. So 7 weeks ago. So 6 weeks ago, I landed back in Mexico. Was put on a targeted therapy medication from the hospital. Same medication they said it's not going to work for you last time. They said it's good for secondary. So I said, look, I'm going to take that, but I'm also going to be going to Mexico. So I've been here for 6 weeks. We've got another 2 to go. So when you say you feel that I've got a knowing I'm going to be healed. Again, look, you don't want to be too cocky, but I don't think we're far from it. So since being put on that medication, since being here, I arrived with 10 brain tumors. I now have only 1. I arrived with 10 lesions in my liver. I now have only 1. So the way I see it, from, what did I say, 7 weeks ago to now, 90% of that terminal cancer has buggered off. So, but every day I get up and I use this. There is that power. Someone said to me right at the start of my journey, it was a lovely gentleman I met here in Mexico, actually. He was a patient here, and he said, I've heard your story. And he said, Kate, it's my belief that your mind got you into this, not your physical body. Your mind and your emotional state got you into this. So if your mind got you into this, then your mind
can get you out of it.
Boom. And so I said that to myself every goddamn day. Now, I was never spiritual. I'm not religious, and I'm listening to the words, and I'm going, you know what? But I want to believe that, and I do believe that. So it sat with me then, and it sits with me now. If my mind got me into this, my mind can get me out of it. So I think that's a very strong message to put out to all of us in this chat and all of us listening today.
Yeah,
so,
I love that, Kate. I love that. And I want to bring a question on from a viewer who you know personally because you spent some time with her
Ooh.
many moonrises ago. Carrie Crary asked a question here. And this is in alignment.
Carrie.
This is in alignment with what you and Jeff have been playing a little round the volley of tennis right here, right now. She says, Kate, do you believe one can heal themselves and that cancer returning just means there is more inner work to do? And I presume what she's talking about inner work, it's not inner work around the lungs or the brain or the kidneys. I think she's talking about the emotional inner work. What do you make of that?
Kate, do you believe one can heal themselves? I mean, I need help from the doctors as well. I can't do this entirely on my own. I'm not that magical, but I need a support team around me. More work. So I spoke to an emotional therapist and said, what's going on here? My life is great. My life is wonderful. Back then in 2018, I was heartbroken. I was grief stricken. I cried every day for a year. I couldn't, I couldn't see life going on. And some days I didn't want to live. I wanted it to be, but again, it was my child bringing me through, so, but life was hard back in 2018. So that diagnosis, it came as a hideous shock, but I suppose it's not as surprising as the one I got 7 weeks ago. My life is good. My child is perfect. I feel happy. I've got wonderful friends around me. I own a home. I've got a business. I've just started dating a beautiful man. So that came as a shock. So I spoke to an emotional healer and said, emotional therapist, and said, what's going on here? And she said, I think your mind is still catching up from your lungs. So you've done so much work, and I have done so much work. I've had a psychologist and a counselor and done Reiki and kinesiology and breath work and heart opening and ayahuasca. Even after the cancer was gone, I still was going to be working up here. So I assume there's still work to be done, and I do have a little plan moving forwards on how I'll go about that. So yeah, thank you, Carrie, for your question.
We have one more question coming in from right here, Lori Morris. She's sounds to me, from what I understand, she's going to be joining you in Cancun shortly.
Yes, she is on.
So she says to you,
hey, Lori.
After Mexico, do you work with other integrative oncology at home? I am in the U.S. and most naturopaths are not up to snuff also. So I guess you could read between the lines. How I receive this question is are you done? When you leave Hope for Cancer, are you done? Or what do you think? What does the aftercare look like when you step back onto Mother Earth in Australia? What is your life going to look like for the next 6 months to a year? What's your plan?
Alrighty. Well, I've got big plans, boys. I've got big plans. So the last time I was diagnosed, I gave myself 12 months to be cancer-free. This time I said 5 months. So I want to be cancer-free by Christmas. Cancer-free, NED remission, whatever title you want it, I'm going to say cancer-free. That's my term. So I'm going to be doing what I do in Mexico at the clinic, but I want to repeat that at home. I want to be doing IVs and treatments and therapies and breath work and meditation. And so I'm going to continue my journey right until the end of the year. I'm going to pull away from my work. I'm going to stay away from stress. I'm going to buckle down and stay focused. I'm not someone that wants to live with a little bit of cancer. Someone said to me once, but millions of people live with a little bit of cancer. I don't want a little bit of cancer in my body. I want the whole thing to bugger off and not come back. So, but when Laurie will know, but when you do have cancer, it doesn't stop. And even when you become NED or cancer free, it's always in the back of your mind. So I do live a healthy life, and I juice and exercise and eat organically and all of that. It never stops. There's no stop. But no, certainly to the end of this year, I'm going to go full pelt. I will go back and see my oncologist. One of my best friends is my doctor. She's with me here in Mexico. She flew out from London the moment she heard. So no, it doesn't stop. You don't relax. You don't sit down and put your feet up and have a cup of tea. You keep going.
Beautiful. I'm curious, Ev. I want to bounce this one and invite you to answer this question I have for you. Is when we're in it, and when we're in this season, the season of embracing either life or death, because let's say we're told, well, Kate's here for cancer. Let's talk about in this moment, at least in the U.S., we have a relationship with the disease of cancer where most people call it battling cancer. And we also have T-shirts and hats, and we use profanity like F-U-C-K. And I'm just curious if, from your perspective, is that actually, do you think that that's a healthy approach to take? Or is there another approach that we should take as we communicate with the cancer within the body? You're muted, buddy. Now you're not.
We're good. We're good.
Yeah.
Yeah, brother, it's really important, because what you're talking about there is also the self-talk, you know. And I just heard the sister for 1 second, you know. I've been sitting back and really observing, sister, and some of these things that we say to ourselves, to other people, places and things, there's that little mind in the back that never misses a beat, and that is the subconscious mind. Now, you said this is always in the back of your mind. When we can start flipping the script, and even with terms like you're saying there, Jay, you know, so many of us, you know, we say we fight cancer, we're fighting disease. We're always putting up the fight. I think it was Mother Teresa, Sister Teresa, one of the saints. She never went and said that she would go and protest against anything, but she was always just about embracing love, health, and happiness, that well-being, as opposed to having to fight against something. So this language that we speak, not only to ourselves, but how we actually embrace some of these challenges and obstacles in our life, is so, so important. And that helps really create that foundation of this new perspective on how we see these things when they come up within our lives. So for me, I'd be asking our sister as well, are you giving yourself the time for meditation daily? Are you giving yourself the time, which you already mentioned, you know, with your health practices, the movement, the healthy food, getting out in nature, in the sun, and all these other health processes I'm sure you're actually engaging with over where you're at the moment, but making sure that this is religious, making sure that it is part of your daily negotiables, as we call it here, those vitals.
It's on my whiteboard. I have a whiteboard on the front of the fridge, and it says walk, or it says breathe, and it says vitamin D. Now, vitamin D for us, I'm going to get to the beach. You know, that's going to be an hour a day, and you know, and it is important. It's you know, we in this, you know, challenge, we say, we won't use the word battle or fight. Let's use in this challenge, health challenge. There is work to be done, but that is very much part of it. Is breathing in and expelling the bad, and nourishing the soul, and you know, think about it. And I consider everything that goes into my body. You know, what is this water I'm drinking? What is this juice? What is this vegetable? You consider everything. Certainly, during my challenge, I personified my cancer. Some people nurture theirs, they talk to it, and they encourage it to go away. I was a bit more like, time's up, buddy. You go. So I got a fly in my face. Time is up. It's time for you to, you know, off you go. And every win I had, every chapter, every good scan I'd have, I'd go, that's another kick in the balls for my cancer. So we all deal with things very, very differently from one to the next, and everyone has a different way of viewing things. But for mine, I like giving it a kick in the nuts now and again. And I think it's got a good welly this time in Mexico.
Yeah, I like that. I like what you said, you know, give it a kick in the nuts. And what I mean by that is that's open for interpretation. For me personally, when I was diagnosed with some very significant conditions and diseases, the reason I got sick was because I was angry. I was already in a battle. I was in a battle with relationships. I was in the battle within the most important relationship, which was the one within myself. And so when I made the choice, the conscious decision to step out of traditional care and go the more holistic route, I knew that in order for me to be free of disease, all of the diseases, the ones that they said was impossible to be free of, it was a death sentence. I had to surrender, meaning I had to surrender to the fight because I had been in it for so many decades in my personal life, in business, in my personal relationships. And for me, it was, I didn't have any fight left. I just wanted to be in surrender. Now that could be confusing for some people listening. It doesn't mean that I'm surrendering and I'm, I got the handcuffs on. No, surrendering for me is called freedom. It's raising my arms up in the air and screaming out. I'm going to ask Josh Richer, what do you think about the use of even mantras? When I'm out in the wilderness, sometimes I'm out there many days when I'm alone, I'm screaming, man. I'm screaming at the top of my lungs and I'm screaming things like, yes, 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 I'm healed. I'm healed. And I just lean into it. Now that's not a fight. That's me stating an affirm affirmation. That's me knowing. That's me tapping into the superpower within. And that's a way of inviting disease to exit the body. So for me, we all have our own style. We all have our own way. And there's no right way or wrong way. But for me personally, when it comes to at least the American society, the whole thing about battling any kind of disease, to me is, I think we're missing the boat. I think we're missing the most important medicine that is within us is love in our heart. And loving ourselves enough to just wish it out, just take it out, demand it to leave. But at least that's been my experience. Josh, what do you make of mantras? Have you ever used mantras in your own mental health journey in life or any physical conditions that you work through?
I'm going to jump in on both of those that you just talked about, all of you guys, that the battle, the fight. I fought depression. I battled anxiety. I battled, crippling depression to the point where I was fighting my mind all day, every day, to where not 200 yards from here, almost jumped off the parking garage to silence that noise. So I was in a constant battle with my mind. And I used mantras and affirmations, and that what's coming up for me in this moment is, what are you busy in your mind with? Are you busy fighting? Are you busy battling? Are you busy mantraing and wanting and wishing and hoping? That's not being. Be love. What my biggest healing and biggest change with addiction and everything that I battled came by loving all parts of myself deeper, letting go of the fight, putting down the sword, turning inward and going, what have I not listened to? What inside needs to speak? And what does it have to say? And giving myself enough stillness to examine that for the first time in my entire life. And that's when things started to change. The battles stopped. They got easier. I didn't have to use alcohol to numb those painful emotions because the painful emotions weren't there. I was listening. I was loving. And so for me, putting down the sword and turning inward was my biggest healing tool, accepting of all parts. That radical acceptance and love of self and listening was, and it's been probably 2.5, 3 years that I've been really, really practicing that. And I've experienced more peace, more joy, no noise, which I can't believe. I mean, literally hundreds of feet from here, I almost jumped just for silence, for peace from this. So I get it. We all have fights. We all have this stuff that the world throws at us, and we don't know why, and we don't think we deserve it, and we're fighting and we're fighting and we're fighting. But that's my take on both. Is too busy in your head with? Is it hoping and mantraing and doing affirmations to try and get that to me sounds like work. You're working, desperately working towards something. Are you fighting, working, or loving? And for me,
beautiful. Beautiful. Josh, I want to take a moment here. We have a surprise. Somebody's going to join us this evening.
Bob Phillips?
Nope.
Kate, I love you. I love you, Kate. I love you so much. And here I am just to show you that wherever I am in the world, I'm there with you, showing the love and the compassion, and just to know that I'm always here for you.
This gentleman is the owner and founder of the clinic where I am based in Mexico, and this gentleman saved my life in 2018, and I owe him everything. And we said Dr. Tony was here in Mexico just until Sunday, and so we were seeing each other, but I didn't know he was coming here today. So yeah, one of my favorite people in the world, and my daughter and I owe him everything. Absolutely everything. So it's beautiful to see you, Dr. Tony. Yeah, and you do it to me every time. You make me cry every time. No more surprises.
I invited Dr. Tony in. Dr. Tony, it's great to see you. The last time I saw you was on a show we did after Charles Maddox did the reality show. I believe it was called 8 Days. It's been some time. It's great to see you. But this was the last minute, an intuitive hit I got to invite you in, because tonight's topic is really less about cancer, and it's more about are we a worrier or a warrior? What is how can our mindset impact the trajectory of our life and our health? And I brought you in because I wanted to have this opportunity for Kate to have a moment of just feeling her emotions as she just did. So thank you for providing that. But secondly, I would like for you to share with Kate and with our viewers this evening, joining us live or on replay, from your perspective as not only as a professional, but as a professional that is your passion in life is assisting people in saving their own lives. What is it about Kate Malvenan that makes her a warrior, in your humble opinion, as a doctor, but also as an observer of watching her? The words she speaks, how she shows up. What is it about Kate Malvenan that has her, for the first time in 2019, going NED, coming back now with another bout of cancer, but also starting to see significant positive results?
Well, thank you, Jay, for having me. I'm honored to be part of this roundtable here. I don't know you, but thank you. Thank you for having me. And Kate is definitely a warrior. I would say, in quoting what Aristotle once said, he said, "We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but a habit." And one thing that Kate did throughout her healing journey was did things right and focus. I say that there's three elements that form the bedrock of success. In Kate's story, it was a success of becoming NED, no evidence of disease. And there's three elements that form the bedrock of success, not only in healing, but I believe in every area of our lives. Number one is focus. When we're laser-like precision, Kate not only followed the therapies and the recommendations that myself and our medical staff gave her, but she exceeded that. She took that to another level. Focus. And then she practiced. She practiced every day the good habits, the good acts, the excellence. And it wasn't a habit. It was just joyful for her. It was her lifestyle. And then what binds these two elements is the third element, which is consistency. And when we have consistency, we see the power of being persistent. So you're persistent in being consistent, or you're consistent in being persistent, both of them. And that's what I so admired from Kate from day one. She set a goal, and it was X number of days. Mind you, she was wrong, but just a couple of days when she became, one day when she became NED. And so now that she's back, one of the first questions I asked Kate is, what happened? What changed? And like being human and feeling great as she still does, and being clear of cancer for a number of years, she fell a little bit off the wagon. This is her words. Correct me if I'm wrong, Kate. She felt a little bit off the wagon and just maybe took some things for granted. But that warrior in her kicked in from the day that she knew that the cancer had, popped up again. 10 tumors in the brain when she arrived to our center in Cancun, and some activity in the liver, of course, some in the lung as well. And what is it, Kate? 5.5 or so weeks later, 6 weeks later, guess what? 9 of the tumors are gone. And there's only one remaining. And that one, which was the largest one, is 70% smaller in size. And great results with the liver as well, great results in the lung. And this is that warrior mentality, right? That I so admire from Kate. And by the way, she's been a blessing. You know this, Kate. You've been a blessing to so many with sharing your story. I know at one point it got a little bit overwhelming. People are asking from all over the world. I want more of Kate. I want more of Kate. And so Kate had to have that time for herself also. But I think if I heard you correctly, Josh, being in that present mind, in that presence of love, and the first thing we have to do is love ourselves, right? And as a believer, as a Christian, this is so important because the one that ultimately loves us more than anyone is our Heavenly Father. And so just remember, Kate, he's half a turn away. Kate has gone a long way in her faith, and still we all have a long way to go, including myself, right? But I'm so proud of you, how you strengthen your faith, how your language is different, Kate. Remember where you wore that hat initially?
FFC. That was an angry Kate. That was Kate had anger, and she was. Yeah. I'm quite frightened of that Kate. I'm glad she's not around anymore. I needed the grit back. I needed the tenacity. I needed the get go. But I'm much calmer now. I'm much more solid up here. And I can calmly walk this path, as opposed to I think I called myself like an 8-armed octopus holding fireworks during this. I'm much calmer now. I've grown. I've matured.
Yeah, you're now an elder. Now you've got a lot of wisdom that you've picked up along this journey. Doc, I got a question for you. Do you think that we all have the warrior within us, or do you think some of us just don't? And if we all have it within us, how do we tap into the warrior within?
Yeah, I definitely believe and know, not only believe, but I know that we all do. And we have that God-given potential that oftentimes is limited because of our childhood, of the traumas we have in our life. But that God-given potential is there. That warrior is inside each and every one of us. So when we tap to this, what we can achieve health-wise and spiritually, emotionally, everything is just unlimited potential. And one of the words I like to point out is, with respect to this question, Jay, is valor, VALOR, valor. What if we, emit this valor and great courage in the face of imminent danger or challenges like we've all had in our life, like Kate had 6 weeks ago or 7 weeks ago, but she's showing that valor. And with that, that warrior potential is just going to continue getting stronger and stronger. So for Kate and all of us, I think, we're good in all aspects of that warrior mentality. And then we get to the next level of being great, like the book Good to Great, right? And then, but once we become great, then what's the next step? To have that excellence, right? And that's where I believe Kate is right now. She's that great. And now that next step is excellence. And I'm sure next time we'll see you, Kate, cancer will be a thing of the past.
Hit the road.
Yeah.
Hit the
That's
road.
right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ev, I'm curious. What do you make of what the doctors had to share with us?
You're speaking all my language, my brother. Thank you for sharing too. But those three key pointers, man. It's even what I speak with my clients around. Their emotional well-being and health, mental health stuff. Wrapped around what are we focusing on? What are we paying our attention to? We all know number one currency on this planet right now, brothers and sisters. And I said this a couple of weeks ago. People are looking for your attention and your intention.
Right.
So you got to think about where your intention is going and what you're paying attention to, claiming your retention. And this can help form those foundations to, like you said on number 2, create those habits in our daily life. Because what I was going to share initially with you as well, sister, I really do believe in what we're starting to open up now on this planet, my brothers and sisters. And look, we still here in the land down under practice with our traditional medicines, and we have medicine men that clear these particular things like cancers and diseases from our people. The future is not so much about healthcare, my brothers and sisters. It's going to be about self-care.
Yes. And that is definitely happened, right, brothers, with the awareness that this last few years brought on upon the world. And now the human race we're more aware. And so we're paying more attention. And then that intention is there in self-care. This is being proactive in self-care because for sure, the government is not going to help us with that, or Dr. Fauci and, that whole scenario of people. But yeah, that's powerful, brother.
I have one quick question for you, Kate. What is your relationship with the words "I can't"?
Can you say those words again?
What is your relationship with the words "I can't"?
I don't know those words. They don't cross this tongue. It doesn't exist. There's no such word as "I can't." So we turn the page. It doesn't. There is no such thing in this chapter I'm on, this season I'm in. There's no. I won't be told no. So no.
Beautiful. I love the question. I love the answer. Go ahead, Josh. Yeah.
Real quick, I think that's kind of where I'm getting at on my last point too. I think being a warrior is less about the sword and more about that belief that those words don't exist in us. I have it too, Kate. I'm a fighter. It's like I do not take no. Those words do not exist for me either, and I can smell it in you. I can see it. I can hear it in your story, and you too, Dr. Tony. I mean, those words don't exist in us for a reason, and that's what makes us warriors. So I just I had to ask and hear you say it because I can see it.
Yeah, you knew.
Totally.
So high five to you as well.
I think what it comes down to is I love that was such a brilliant question, Josh, because when we say we can't, we're living in lack, and that just means that we haven't tapped into the true essence of what makes a warrior. Is we learn how strong we really are. I call it our inner superpowers. And instead of living in I can't, we can change just a few words. It's like we become bilingual. We learn a whole new language. Some of us do. And that language is I will. That language is I can. That language is I am healed. Even when the tests are not showing you fully healed yet. It's just that there's a delay. It's like a delay in Wi-Fi. The delay is that as long as you are speaking to your body and you're telling your body, I am healed, your body may be in delay. It may take a little bit of time to catch up to what you're programming the body to feel and experience, because it is all about programming. We're either reprogramming our body through the power of the mind or being programmed by the power outside of ourselves. And there's where we get into the rabbit hole of what I call sick care and every other aspect of life. And so it's about cutting the cords, breaking the chain to the old programming. And it's about programming. And Josh, I know you wrote a book on, the power of the mind. It's all about the mind. The mind is what controls the health of the body. But there is a direct connection between the head and the heart. What do you make of that, Doc?
Amen to that. And one thing I could say is that Kate is not just saying it, she is living it, because I've noticed that since I met her. And so one thing is believing it, but she knows it. And that's the difference, right? Because oftentimes people say, I believe, or, I think this could happen. But it's when you get to that next level, and that's knowing. And then at that point, the vibration, the resonance, the frequency of the communication that each cell is having. Remember, each cell is connected to every other, trillion cells in the body. And so we're not the lung, the brain, the liver, all the organs are not in silo. These are working together. So words are very powerful. And when Kate says it, that's resonating in every cell of her body. And guess what? Cancer cell is dark. It resonates at a low vibration. And so it doesn't like those words. It doesn't like that attitude and that belief and that knowing. It's so beautiful. And that's where the healing happens. Because first the healing happens at an energetic level, and then at a biochemical, chemical level, and then ultimately at the physical level. But medicine today is all about the physical. It's all about the tumor. But what about the person with the tumor instead of the tumor in the person? And that's the beauty. That's what we try to empower every day in our centers, both in Tijuana and Cancun. And it's so beautiful. You've seen it. I just got 2 messages today. Actually, 3 patients one patient was in 7 months, her stage 3 head and neck cancer completely resolved. And these are tough situations, but those are people that take the healing to the next level, as you all are talking about and have written about. Number 2 is that the second patient was one that's at the center now. And in just over 2 weeks, the tumor has decreased by nearly 20%. And so, this is not using chemo that's toxic, it's not using radiation, it's just empowering the body's ability to heal. And one thing I would like to say is I'm also a naturopathic doctor. And in naturopathic medicine, we learn what's called the therapeutic order of healing. And the first thing is removing obstacles to health or obstacles to cure. So what are those obstacles? They come from the nutritional aspect, of course, emotional, which I think is the most important one. And so as you proceed in this journey, Kate, what are those obstacles that you still have to work on? So every morning when you wake up, you just think, what can I do better today? What obstacle is still in my way, right? And then overcome that. The second in the therapeutic order of healing is stimulating the self-healing mechanisms of the body. That's so powerful, right? We have an immune system that could wipe all these cancer cells away, Kate. And so we have to stimulate that self-healing. How? By letting go of trauma, letting go of emotional conflict, getting rid of toxic relationships, sleeping well, taking your supplements, all these things, healthy water, hydration, having a community. And this is what I'm seeing here with the 6 of us, and the many that are viewing and will watch the replay is this community that you and Mary have built, Jay. This is so beautiful, and to bring experts like this to share and build that community, because this is the tribe. These are the communities that can ultimately save us from what's happening in this world right now, right? And the third in the order of the therapeutic order of healing is strengthening the weakened systems of the body. So is my weakened system the respiratory system? Is it the immune system? Is it my hormones? You know, I'm only 35 now, so my my hormones are maybe going a little bit down. So I need to strengthen that weakened system in the body. And so we should all examine ourselves. What system of the body should we strengthen that's weakened? And this is the self-care that has been mentioned, right? When I first saw your name, I thought it was Elvis, and I said, "Oh man, Elvis is with us." And then
Elvis didn't know much about self-care, so
that's true. That's
Well,
true.
he's not here to defend himself, so I'm going to keep the show moving right along.
And just lastly, Jay, to finish that, the fourth step in the therapeutic order of healing is correcting the integrity of our structure. You know, what's our posture? Are we having tension, myofascial release, right? So maybe things like acupuncture, adjustments, proper posture, good sleeping habits, all this is very important, because in the flow, the energy, the meridians of the chi, all that is working well, and then it's a domino effect. You have no option, Kate, but to heal and be well, and you know that.
I know that.
That's
I know
right.
that, Dr. Tony.
I wanted to take a moment here. First of all, I want to thank you, Dr. Tony, for jumping on tonight. I know you're not at home. You're at some type of convention or conference, I should call it. And I had no idea if you were going to be able to make it, but I reached out to two people in your life. I reached out to your beautiful beloved, your wife, Marcy, and then I reached out to Leslie when I didn't get a response. And they both came back to me and they both said, yes, yes, yes. But here's the truth. I had an absolute knowing that you were going to make it here tonight. I had no doubt that you were going to be here, the same way that Kate has no doubt that she's healed. And that we all, right here, right now on Real Men Real Talk Live, we all know that you've overcome this one time, and you're not gonna beat it, but you're gonna love it out of your body a second time. You are gonna be NED. It's not a question of if, it's only a question of when. But that day is coming. It's coming fast and furious. And wow, Doc, thank you for taking the time to join us tonight. I want to invite my co-hosts, if any one of you, before we put a pretty bonus show and call it a wrap, if you have any questions for either Doc or for Kate, let's put it out here, right now.
Actually, I have an observation since I've been pretty quiet tonight. Kate, I think through all of this, as you move through this, and you will move through this in whatever way that is in your soul plan for this, whatever you're going to learn, when you come out on the other side of this, and I don't know if there is an other side, this is going to move you in a direction where your passion in life, this will be your life's work. People have already been coming to you. You've got a lot of followers asking the question, how have you moved through this and how are you doing this? So sometimes, actually probably many times, what quote unquote happens to us in life is actually happening for us. So when we can move through it, through that darkness, through that shadow to the other side of it, what we're going to find is we're moving towards the light of what we're here to do and what we put on this planet in the human form to do.
Love that. Beautiful. I totally agree. What do you make of that, Kate? Were you able to hear what Jeff is saying?
I did. Yeah. Look, I there's a knowing look in my eye. I think a lot of people have said that, there's more to come, Kate, on this journey. in regards to helping, guiding, directing others potentially. I tried to tap out of Instagram for the last sort of 18 months and it didn't happen. I slowed down a bit and then, social media has taken off. And yeah, I'm here to tell a story, I think. I don't quite know what that story is yet. But I'm sort of on a path and I'll just I'll let that just free flow. I don't know where it's going to take me, but I don't think there's a closure of a door, when I go, right, I'm NED. I don't think things stop there. It just, something's coming my way. I don't know what it is, but I'm open to it.
Yeah. The beautiful thing is we don't have to know in a moment, but I will say this is, I think Jeff's spot on. I feel the same way. And there's no irony or coincidence, because there aren't any in life, that what you have provided to thousands and thousands of people across the globe is one word. It's called hope. Mm-hmm. And it's no coincidence that where you have traveled across the globe to get the assistance to save your life, and not just save it, but flourish in your life, is called Hope for Cancer. And if you break down the acronym that I've embraced in my own healing journey, the word hope means healing our perspective every day.
Mm. And you know what, everyone? No one can take your hope away. No doctor can take it. No one can take that hope away, because that's given to us by our Creator. And so no one could ever take away. I want to say a secret, if you all promise to keep the secret. And I haven't asked you, Kate, if I could tell the secret, but there's a movie that is being worked on regarding Kate. And maybe you know this already, and maybe it's not that much of a secret, but when this new news came out, the thought of the producer and the director was what to do now, right? Because it was a good story up until 6, 7, 8 weeks ago. And then the conclusion was, wow, it's going to be even a more powerful story because now there's an extra chapter that the script will have to embrace in this movie. So yes, we're all in agreement, Kate, and you are healed.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Josh, do you have any final thoughts or questions or observations for Kate?
So beautiful having you on here, sister, sharing your amazing story, incredible, inspiring. I feel what those years must have been like. And so thank you. Thank you.
I appreciate you.
All of that and your strength with all of us.
Thank you very much indeed. It's been a pleasure.
Ev, you want to close us out with give us some closing thoughts?
Oh, I'd just like to thank also the sister for coming on tonight as well. I think, and also our brother, thanks for coming on late there, Dr. Tony. But I think also to my brothers and sisters, as we do close out tonight, what we didn't talk about tonight, we talk about when we get ourselves into these challenges and obstacles, that it is easy to fall down into that darkness. It is easy to fall down into that abyss, so to speak. But when we're able to be in the present moment and not have to think forward or have to worry about our past, but truly know that all we are is the present moment, we can fall back into the beautiful essence and energy of gratitude. Grateful and gratitude for the things that we do have, that we do not have to fight or battle, but grateful for just the person that we are. So each and one of us can share and learn from something that Kate has shared with us tonight. And hopefully it's just that one thing that you can take away for either yourself or for a loved one that you can share and be able to walk into your life, not only from this story, my brothers and sisters, but that you live as this story our sister has shared so beautifully tonight. So thanks again, my sister. We look forward to hopefully having you in the future, but grateful for your presence.
Thank you very much, all of you.
I would like to just put it out in the universe that, Kate, you are welcome back but we're going to have you back when you are NED round 2, and that'll be the final. As far as the final, not only call it a knockout, but the final closure on this part of your life, so that you could take all the lessons from it and embrace the next season in your life, the season of this rebirthing. And with that, viewers, if you heard something that touched you from tonight's episode 167, Worrier or Warrior, please share it with your loved ones. Please share it with people you care about. And if it's for you, you have any questions, Hope for Cancer, you can find more information about them at hopeforcancer.com. And Dr. Tony, again, thank you for joining us this evening on the program. And with that, I love you, Kate.
Thank you, Jay. Thanks for having on. It's been a pleasure, gentlemen. Thank you again.
Last thing, please, if you could just hang on in the studio just for closing thoughts after we close off our show tonight. Stay around just for a few moments. And with that, viewers, thank you for joining us on Real Men, Real Talk Live.
Beautiful, sister. Thank you.
Hey, Kate, if you want my friend Lourdes's info, I think the two of you would. I have to get it to you. If you could,
you can
drop in my.
Jay will facilitate.
Or drop in your email address to me.
Hey, Jay, we're still live.
Oh,
Yeah, Jay.
Can you stop it?
Jay's frozen. We're still live, Jay.
Well, we're going out.
No,
Can you stop the recording?
Here.
It's live